Sometimes a song in a musical is so good, you have to sing it again. Yes, I'm of course talking about a reprise. This is when, in a musical, a song is repeated, normally in a shorter version, a little bit later into the musical to reflect on a character situation, to show a change in their character arc, or if you're Cole Porter, you can just repeat the song again immediately after you've done the song. He really likes doing that. But with so many musicals taking advantage of reprises, and some of these even being stronger than the initial version in the musical, this does beg the question we were always going to ask. What is the best reprise from a musical? There's so many, how are we going to decide? Oh wait, we can do this! Welcome back to the Versus Bracket. Yes, I have gathered 32 different musical theatre reprises with your suggestions from Instagram, and we are going to battle them 1v1 until we find my favourite. Feel free to play along in the comments down below, but if you haven't seen my face before, I am Ellie, I talk about theatre. I am the most chaotic theatre person on the internet. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do versus brackets and rankings, and if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. But let's dive into reprises. I'm so surprised that I haven't done reprises yet for this series. So surprised that I'm doing it now. I was gonna take a break from versus brackets and not do them for a little while, and then I was like, wait, I didn't do reprises. So I am being a little bit more flexible with what I'm deeming as a reprise, but for me personally, I'm looking for a lengthy enough repeating of a song or like a specific idea or motif. So yes, this does count like very obvious reprises, ones that have reprise in the title, like Wait For Me 2, Falsetto Lamb reprise, I'm Not That Girl reprise. I also never know if it's reprise or reprise, but within this, I'm also going to count Legally Blonde remix, Tonight Quintet, and Joanna Quintet into the idea of a reprise. These are songs that may be lengthier than the original versions, but they come after those. In the plot of the musical and in the span and the structure of it, I can't see any reason why we can't see them as reprises. So, without further ado, let's go through the 32 songs. I have shuffled them up. I've only allowed one song from each musical, so I've chosen the one that I think has the best chance of getting through the bracket. And let's start with our first pairing. We have 38 Planes from My Favorite Musical Come From Away, and Forever Yours reprise from Once in This Island. Oh lord, I think that this bracket is going to be a lot harder than people would initially think, because already in the first pairing, I'm mad. I'll start with Come From Away, right? 38 Planes reprise is such a beautiful song, and it goes into, and I feel like for the sake of this argument, can count somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I feel like, you know, the rest of that song is kind of a reprise in spirit, I guess, because it pairs well with 28 Hours and, you know, the plane sequence, and, you know, it's not a musical reprise in that section, but it's reprising of an idea in a moment. It's a stretch, I know, but I'm going with it. And I think this summates the whole journey that these characters have gone through and Come From Away. They start in the first version of the song scared, worried, trying to get through this time, left in the dark, and now as they're leaving, they are filled with this sense of joy and community and compassion for everyone on that plane. They've all gone through this experience together, and they've got through it. They're going home. There's so much joy, and there's so many moments, and we get the sad moments of we're never going to see each other again. We get the moments of that realization. We get the moments of them coming back, coming together, banding together to help out the community that's helped them so much. It's a real sense of joy in that moment. I think that's what sums up Come From Away so well. Come From Away is a musical that deals with tragedy and moments in human history where we see our darkest times, but looking at that and coming together, banding together as people to show that even in those darkest moments, there is still a light and still humanity. And I think out of all of the songs in this musical, 38 Planes reprise actually is one of the strongest to show this. This is up against Forever Yours Reprise from Once in This Island. If you're unfamiliar with this song, this comes a little bit late into the musical. If I'm correct, it's like the third to last song. And it is the moment where Tymoon makes her choice. The first version of Forever Yours, this meeting between Tymoon and the god Papagay, is the moment where she saves this boy's life. And now at this point in the reprise, she has kind of been betrayed by him. Her love and her devotion for him is not translated into a love and devotion from him. And Papagay presents her with this really interesting choice. It's such a fantastic twist onto the first version of the song. It's so dark. The melody is beautiful. The harmonies between them clashing, fantastic. And it brings the whole moral of the story to a front. The whole setup of the gods in this musical is this battle between love and death. And this is the moment. This is where Tymoon chooses which one is going to be stronger. The whole plot of this musical is building to this reprise, and it's a fantastic moment. Which is stronger is so rude because I love them both, but if you're gonna push me on it, I would have to side with my favorite musical. But if you have not listened to Once on This Island, I implore you to go and listen to it right now. Well, not right now, after this video. Watch the whole video first. Don't ruin my engagement. Next up, as you all know, I love supporting new musicals, and we have Why Am I So Single on here, with their reprise of Just In Case, which is technically also a reprise of Disco Ball as well, but it's called Just In Case Reprise. And we have something really tragic and sad. We have the reprise of Stay Alive from Hamilton. Oh boy, if you want to get me sobbing, just put on Stay Alive reprise. I think when you're looking at the whole of Hamilton, Stay Alive is not one of the songs that you will think of first. It's a nice moment where you're seeing Hamilton staying alive, as the war is happening around him. And then this is contrast in Act 2 with the reprise, where we're dealing with Hamilton's son. He's just been shot in a duel. And oh my god, it's heartbreaking. Oh my god, it's brutal. We hear these moments and these references back to The Counting. Philip references playing piano with his mother and The Counting in French and going up, and oh my god, and it references back to 10 Dual Commandments as well, where it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he stops. He doesn't get to the end of the count. He doesn't say the set we'd nuff. And it happens. He stops saying it on the same number he was shot on. Oh my god. You look at the craftsmanship behind this song, and you have to realize how much of a genius Lin-Manuel Miranda is. Oh my god. I say it's got a lot of strengths in that, but if you're looking at this song by itself, it's not really the most memorable. It's not got the strongest melody, but it is a hard hitting moment in the musical. So I'm kind of weighing those between each other. I think it's definitely being pushed up by that, but it's not a slam dunk immediately. Let's take a look at Just In Case reprise. What I really like about this is that in a really interesting choice, these two characters who we follow through Why Am I Single, Nancy and Oliver, each have their own barriers and each have their own songs to express their reasoning for not quite giving all in relationships. And in this reprise, they swap songs. So Oliver here gets Nancy's song, Just In Case, and outside, as she's waiting for an Uber, Nancy gets Oliver's song, Disco Ball. I love that choice. I love that twist on it. I love its approach to that. And I think it really gives an interesting idea of how much these two mean to each other. And after this huge blowout and this huge argument, they're still in the back of their mind, through what they're singing, despite the lyrics not matching that, are still thinking about each other. I think that's a really interesting approach to it, and really clever writing and really clever thought process from Toby Marlowe and Lucy Moss. I will say this does suffer with a common issue I have with some of the songs in Why Am I Single, that they're just a little bit too long. I feel like it gives you a lot of the idea, but it feels like they had a goal of every song being 5 minutes. Look at that cast album. There's only 2 songs in there that are under 5 minutes long. Weighing it up, I do think the pros and the cons of each kind of balances out into a very fair fight. Part of me doesn't want to give it to Why Am I Single because, Hamilton has fared a lot better in previous versus brackets. And I would like to see how far I'm a Single can go. But if I'm thinking about the craftsmanship behind it, I think it's just a very tough pairing in first round, and I would say I would probably give it to Hamilton. Stay Alive, oh, it's heartbreaking. Ow. Bad Idea Reprise from Waitress, that is the Act 1 finale, versus the reprise of Home from Benjamin Button. I like the reprise of Bad Idea, but it's mainly just like a little cap on the end of Act 1. I like it, and that's why it's here. Like, there was no way that this wasn't going to be at least on the list, but I don't think there's many worlds where this is going to be like, just because of the category it's found itself in, it's not going to be like going very, very far. It works its purpose extremely well. It's that lovely cap, it's that lovely ending. You get to see all the relationships building throughout Act 1 kind of come to their peak. And also, I just really like the melody of Bad Idea and you know, the playfulness of that. I enjoy it, but it is up against Benjamin Button, one of my favorite musicals at the moment, and boy, this moment in Benjamin Button is, it just punches you in the gut. Benjamin is at his lowest point. He's lost his love, he's lost his friends, he's lost work, he's kind of at this rock bottom. And at this point, trying not to spoil it too much, he's given exactly what he needs. He's given everything that he needs at this moment with this setup that is done in Act 1 of this bottle that he throws into the ocean, which returns back to him. And oh my god, the music of it all, the build-up of it, the ensemble coming in and the harmonies. Oh lord, a beautiful moment of realization. It's kind of like the big turning point in his life where he finally realizes what his home is. One of the biggest themes throughout that musical is home and family and where your place is in life. And Benjamin Button, because of the fact that he ages backwards, has kind of struggled to find that and to find that acceptance. And now he's realized what he's going to shove to one side is his home, where he needs to be, and he sets off to go back. It's a beautiful turning point in Act 2, and definitely the one I'm sending through to next round. Next up, we have Spilsbury Reprise from Operation Mincemeat, and we have Good Morning Baltimore Reprise from Hairspray. I like Good Morning Baltimore Reprise. I think it's a nice contrast to the start of Act 1. Honestly, if we want to compare it to anything, it's kind of like Prom or Hell from Heathers, just like a cute little reprise of the opening number to bring us back into Act 2. It's not the most substantial thing, but it's fun and it's nice, and I like the change in orchestrations. I like the first version of this song is so upbeat and bubbly, and she's ready and she's walking down the street and there's the flasher, and I promised Baltimore, the world's going to see Baltimore and me, and everything's happy and joyful and good. And now she's locked up in prison. She didn't expect this. And it's a nice moment. It's a nice reprise. I was quite surprised revisiting it, going, oh, actually, I forgot how nice this moment is. I do think against like anything else, there would probably be more arguments against it. But I do think it's got a very fitting pairing for it in round 1. You know, the luck of the draw most times doesn't mean that happens, and sometimes I have to scream like in the first round of this video. But Spilsbury Reprise is nice, it's fun, it's cute. I love the character of Spilsbury and, the sliminess of him and everything, so it's always a joy to get to this moment and to revisit him, but it is a little bit short, it's basically just context. I think a better reprise in Operation Mincemeat is probably the glitzy finale. I was kind of back and forth on whether that counted, and I wanted to try and avoid too many finales, because obviously the finales have their own bracket. So I'm only really counting finales if they are like pushing themselves as reprise. So you'll see there is a couple, but all of them have that link that they are a specific reprise of one song, which I do think leaves Operation Mincemeat with the weaker reprise in its musical being on this list. With that all said, I do enjoy Spilsbury Reprise, but I would give this to Good Morning Baltimore Reprise. Next up, People Will Say We're in Love Reprise from Oklahoma versus Falsetto Land Reprise from Falsettos. I did tell you it had to be a specific reprise to be on this list and a finale, And yep, Falsetto Land is. And yep, Falsetto Land will casually rip out my heart as it is still beating. It's one of the shorter reprises on this whole list because, yeah, the ending of Falsettos is sad. Oh boy. Oh boy. But I think when we're speaking about that, it's all you really need from it. All you need is that little moment of reflection, that moment of coming together of these people who have lost so much. It's not the most substantial, but it works. People Will Say We're in Love from Oklahoma is definitely, yeah, it's not my favorite. I think this is a pairing where both of them aren't my favorite reprises, but they're both nice. Honestly, I do really like Oklahoma. I just think that People Will Say We're in Love is not my favorite song from it. And like, it's not a crime. That's not a crime. But I like this moment of them uniting. I like the reflections back on the relationship and obviously onto the first version of this song. Yeah, I like it. Which is stronger? Yeah, I would probably say falsettos here. I would probably go for falsettos. Next up, we have Wait For Me 2 from Hadestown. One of the most epic moments in that show, beyond the songs that are actually titled epic, versus I'm Not That Girl reprise from Wicked. Let's speak first about Wicked, because I'm so sorry you're not making it through the first round. I really do enjoy this moment, because I like when a different character reprises another person's song. I do really enjoy that, and that's why, you know, it was really close with Why Mess Single. Because I think doing that and having characters change motifs tells you a lot about where they are in the musical at this point. And I think I'm Not a Girl reprise being sung by Glinda shows the switching of Fiero's love, or where they think that Fiero's love is pointing. In Act 1, this song is sung by Elphaba. She gets the full version of it, and it's beautiful and heartbreaking as she kind of starts to realize her feelings for Fiero and realizes it's never really going to happen. And now in Act 2, where it actually does happen, and Glinda, who has like married this man, is now realizing that he never really loved her and is dealing with the consequences of that and the emotions of that. It's a short moment, but very, very strong. But it's up against Wait For Me 2. Oh my god. It is the start of the end of Hadestown. When you get to this point, you're in the end game now. Thanos has done his snap. You're in the end game now. Yep. It's just such a spectacular moment. You get the opening moments with Hermes. You get the final meeting of Orpheus and Hades, that moment of mutual respect for each other and the handshake. You get the moment where Hades lets Persephone go again, and that moment of, can we try again? And, you know, I'll wait for you, I will. Screaming. And of course, you know, it builds up. You hear these workers coming out. And of course, you have Eurydice's moment towards the end where she's trekking along that bit. She's singing along. I'm coming, wait for me. I hear the walls repeat. How could it not be? How could it not be Wait For Me 2? Oh my lord, it's going to Wait For Me 2. Okay, next up, we have Dead Girl Walking reprise from Heathers and Tonight Quintet from West Side Story. There was a lot of different choices I could have made for Heathers. Obviously, I could go with the finale, because that's 17 reprise. It's a very clear and obvious reprise that caps off the musical. But I think the most fitting option for this list is Dead Girl Walking reprise. This moment where the relationship between JD and Veronica has been twisted to the fullest extent. She's quite literally a dead girl walking now, because, you know, everyone thinks she's dead. And like Wait For Me 2, it's the start of the end. It's this culmination. Veronica's going in. She's going to stop JD once and for all. She needs to be the hero. She's got to save the school. It's epic. It's cool. It's powerful. And I do really enjoy it, but I'm so sorry, Heathers fans. This is another case of being paired against a very harsh competitor in round one, because Tonight Quintet is so good. It's so good. It is one of those reprises that I would say is stronger than the first version of the song. And I do not need to elaborate on that any further. You get all of these different perspectives coming back out. Every single person is giving you something very different. You have Anita and her version, and you have the Jets ganging up to start this rumble. You obviously have Maria and Tony. It's just this beautiful moment, and it really should be the end of Act 1, but doesn't count. And because of the fact that it couldn't count for the Act 1 finales list, I'm making right by including it here. And honestly, it has to go into round 2. It absolutely has to. Love you, Dead Girl Walking, but it is Tonight Quintet. Final one on this side of the bracket, we have Javert's Soliloquy from Les Mis versus Agony from Into the Woods. Again, Les Mis, there's so many. I could have picked so many. I could have picked the finale. There's a Heart Full of Love reprise. God, I want to go even hard. I mean, the reprise of Little People as well. Gavroche. Oh my God, that's heartbreaking. But the moment I've chosen to go for from Les Mis is actually Javert's Soliloquy, and a number that isn't touted as a specific reprise, but is a reprise of Jean Valjean's Soliloquy. I think it's really cool. Again, I really like it when a different character takes another person's song. It tells you so much, and Javert is kind of at this point here where he is choosing. We've seen Valjean and his choice, which happens at the start of the musical where he rips up the papers and changes his life and chooses a pathway of God and becomes a good man. And now Javert is tasked with this same dilemma. Throughout this entire musical, he has been dead set in his beliefs, and now that belief has been tested. And I think it tells you so much about his character, what choices he makes in this song. It's a phenomenal moment to show you the differences between Javert and Valjean. It's a phenomenal moment to show you why we are aligned with Valjean and not Javert. It's so characterful, it's so wonderful, it's just a really powerful song. Agony from Into the Woods reprise is fun. It's funny. Was it going to be any other choice from Into the Woods? No, because I just think it's so funny to look at this song, which is very similar to the initial version, and it's just them already changing their minds on who they want to date and finding new princesses, and that's camp. I'm sorry, that's camp. It's hilarious, but I do think that when we're comparing it to Javert's Soliloquy, it is a little bit weaker. I would give it to Les Mis in this pairing. Next up, starting on the other side of the bracket, we have Legally Blonde remix and Sunday reprise from Sunday in the Park with George. See, this is difficult. This is extremely difficult because I do love Sunday reprise. It's just a gorgeous moment. The harmonies, looking beyond any of like the story of it, like the craftsmanship of Sunday is gorgeous and spectacular. It's some of Stephen Sondheim's best work. Oh my God, just stunning. There is no other word for it than stunning. And I think it's got a really interesting pairing here because Legally Blonde remix is very different, but I feel like you can make as strong a case for it because it is the culmination of that musical. It is this moment of sheer joy, and I think it comes at the right moment there. It's this comeback moment for Elle. She's just been at her lowest with Legally Blonde. She's quitting law. She's going away. And Vivian coming in just breathes that life back into it. And she puts on the outfit. They go on. It's just a 5-minute epic that just keeps giving and giving and giving. It's this blast of energy at the exact point in the musical where you need it. And I think when we're thinking about reprises in that way, I think this is a very powerful tool for it. But that doesn't make my job any easier here because I do think Sunday is a really strong reprise that definitely deserves to go much further. But I think the same way about Legally Blonde, and I'm going to have to pick one quickly. This is just going to have to be a pick, like a gut decision. Any other day, I could give it to either of them, but I feel like right now, it may be surprising, but my gut is saying Legally Blonde remix. My gut is saying Legally Blonde remix. And Legally Blonde remix better go far in this bracket to make up for the fact that it has eliminated one very, very strong reprise. Next up, this is the reprise that started the idea for this whole video because I was listening to Spring Awakening again. It's Mama Who Bore Me reprise versus, I think when you think of heartbreaking reprises, one of the first that should come to your mind is I'll Cover You reprise from Rent. A very contrasting pairing here because Mama Who Bore Me reprise is the first moment in Spring Awakening where you get that angst, you get that anger, and you start to see that breakdown in communications between the mother and the daughter. Wendla is coming of age to a point where she needs to know these things in life, and she's being sheltered. She's not being given that idea, and musically, to portray that idea and that frustration, they use rock music. It's fantastic work. It's brilliantly done, and it's the turning point, the first turning point in that musical. And as I said, it inspired this whole list. So, you know, obviously I like it. But I don't want to count out I'll Cover You Reprise too quickly because, God, if we're thinking about sad moments in musicals, I'll Cover You Reprise is just one of the greatest. This moment of loss, repeating this love song from earlier in the musical, but now one of that pair is gone. And I think musically you feel that loss. This speech at this funeral, it builds and it builds and it builds and it soars to show how much Angel meant to all of these characters in the musical. But now I've got to pick. And picking is hard. Because am I going to ditch one of my favorite musicals of all time in Spring Awakening? Or am I going to ditch I'll Cover You Reprise, which is phenomenal as well? I do think that personally, when I'm thinking about the impact of the song in musical placement, in the impact of the song emotionally, I would say that personally I would give this the I'll Cover You Reprise, which is hard because I love Spring Awakening. And that song is the reason this video is even here. But I have to admit that it is I'll Cover You Reprise in this situation. Next up, we have Little Shop of Horrors with Somewhere That's Green Reprise, and Phantom of the Opera with All I Ask of You Reprise. I love that back-to-back we've had a lot of reprises that come immediately after the initial number. Because All I Ask of You Reprise is the ending of Act 1, it's that the moment that transitions into it, which as an Act 1 finale, I would say isn't the strongest. I think the song itself is not the strongest Act 1 finale. I think the moment where the chandelier falls is an amazing way to end Act 1, but the song itself is not the reason, which is why it didn't quite make the Act 1 finales list. But when I'm thinking about it as a reprise, it's stronger in that respect. Because I think it's that moment of betrayal, or what the Phantom sees as betrayal. He absolutely adores Christine to an obsessive level, let's be fair and honest here, but he absolutely adores Christine, and he kind of sees it in his mind that he would be the one for her, and now here she is with Raoul, and he's like, no, I'm Angie. It's a brilliant moment for a reprise, and I think having that same song that they've just sung together is a fantastic choice. I think it really underlines that betrayal and shows his feelings here and how heartbroken he is by this moment and the frustration and the anger leading into that iconic chandelier fall. Some of that Green Reprise is lovely. This final moment between Audrey and Seymour where she actually decides that Seymour should be happy. She makes a decision that is honestly quite comedic at first, when you think about it, where she asks to be fed to the plant when she dies. I love the writing of this moment, because it starts really comedic like that. Because it's that line where she goes, "When I die," which should be very shortly. So good. And when said by the actress, I'm always thinking of the delivery from Ellen Green there. It's so good. But then you realize that she has a point. She's going to die anyway because of what the plant's done. But it's that selflessness that she gives there, because honestly, she does love Seymour. She wants him to have that success, and she's realized now that all of that success has come from this plant. And so if she is fed to the plant, it will continue to bring Seymour success. I think it's a great end point to their relationship, a beautiful moment that is equally as sad as it is funny in moments, which I think is something that Little Shop of Horrors does toe the line of very well. Toes the line between horror in different elements and the comedy and the actual story and these characters that you do actually end up really falling in love with. So when I'm thinking about it, this is hard. This is a harder decision than I actually thought it was going to be when I first said this as a pairing, because I've realized how much I actually really love that moment of Somewhere That's Green, but I think it's actually the moment of that I like more than the actual reprise of the song. Like, a lot of the moments I've said is the speech and the book in between the moments of song, because the reprise of Somewhere That's Green is fairly short and it's nice, it's sweet, but I would say it's the song less that is doing the heavy lifting there than the actual script and the book. So with that, I would say I would give it to All I Ask of You Reprise. Next up, we have the Act 1 finale of Cabaret, the reprise of Tomorrow Belongs to Me, and the only Disney representation on this list, which is a little bit of a shame, but I felt like out of all the Disney ones, this was the strongest, and it's actually a musical that hasn't made it to the stage yet. We have Mother Knows Best from Tangled. That's a great reprise. I mean, it is peak gaslighting from Mother Gothel, and we love that gaslighting queen. I love that slightly different twist on it. I love how she pulls the rug out from underneath Rapunzel. That version of Mama Knows Best becoming more sinister, more emboldened. It's fantastic. It's great. It's exactly what you want from like a Disney reprise, which honestly, I may just have to do a list of Disney reprises at some point. There's probably enough to do a versus bracket, right? I'm sure. I mean, Prince Ali reprise would be great on there. I mean, there's obviously ones that just sadly didn't make it onto this list because, you know, almost every single musical has a reprise. I kind of have to be a bit strict, but it is up against, I think, a very important turning point in Cabaret. If we're speaking about moments where you pull the rug out from you, I feel like this moment does often pull the rug out from the audience as well. I think it does speak a lot, whether, you know, it should or shouldn't, that whenever that reveal happens just before this song is always followed with that moment of shock. And I love this moment to show that slow building. We have this threat in the background of Cabaret, especially in Act 1, of that bubbling up of the Nazi party in Germany in the 1930s. I think there's definitely, especially now, as we're seeing more and more far-right ideals and beliefs being shared in social media and making them feel more emboldened, I feel like now more than ever, we see the effects of that. And I feel like that's why a musical like Cabaret is more important now than ever. Because this is the moment where you see just how many people at this party, and at this party for a Jewish man, believe in this ideal. And that's terrifying. I think that's one of the moments that is really well done in the current London and New York revival, where you have these four characters. You have Sally, Cliff, Herr Schultz, and Fraulein Schneider, all kind of surrounded by the people at the party, all joining in with this anthem. And it's sinister. It's horrifying. It's such a deeply affecting ending to Act 1 as you start to get the real sense of this political movement of othering and bigotry and hatred in Germany, and a realization, especially of these characters, how big that is becoming. I speak about this now, but it's horrifying how much this parallels movements in America and even more scary movements over here in the UK. I think because of all of that, I have to give this to Tomorrow Belongs to Me reprise. Next up, there's a lot of reprises I could have given from Next to Normal, but the one that I wanted to speak about was I Am the One reprise. I think this is the reprise that spoke to me the most in this musical because it is Dan at his lowest, and that kind of realization that he is not okay, and that meeting, that first moment where he sees Gabe, oh God. It's up against another one of my favourite musicals in Hedwig. A musical I don't often get to put onto these lists, and I'm very glad it could come on here, with the reprise of Wicked Little Town. I'll speak about Hedwig first. The reprise of Wicked Little Town is a great moment, a hard-hitting moment. As we've seen Hedwig come to her lowest point, she opens the door to listen to the concert, and finally, after all this time, all of the moments for this musical where she has been speaking about Tommy Gnosis, speaking about her ex, who is more famous than her because of all of the music that he has stolen from her. And now she gets what she wanted. The moment where he actually acknowledges her. It's a real turning point. But what I will say is that I think the reaction afterwards is more interesting than the reprise. I don't know if that's harsh to say, but I think when we get back to Hedwig, when we get back and we hear how she deals with that, that's where the real grit of it comes. That's where we get to see everything come full circle, and we get the finale and the moment where she passes the torch. So while it is one of my favorite musicals and I wanted to go further, I would say I think I am leaning towards I Am the One. I think I Am the One reprise is just so heartbreaking. Dan has been kind of shielding himself from a lot of that throughout this musical. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but it's clearly not. And he's kind of being faced with that, and we get a real sense of the fact that he is not okay either. He's not dealt with this loss and this grief. He's bottled that up and he's hidden it away for his other family members, and now it comes full circle for him. Two moments in musicals where it comes full circle, but I feel like I would go with Next to Normal here. Next up, we have one reprise from a chorus line and Joanna Quartet from Sweeney Todd. I think finishing a chorus line with one is phenomenal. But this is a case where I think it works better as a finale than it does as a reprise. And I know that is weird to say, because sometimes we are thinking about the quality of the song here, but we're also thinking about what it means in terms of reprise. Why is it coming back? What does that mean for the whole musical? And for one in a chorus line, that's really just for the big flashy finale. It doesn't really say much about the characters, doesn't really say much about the journey. As a reprise, it's fine, but it works better to present that big flashy end number than it does to actually tell you things about the characters and the musical itself. Which is basically me saying, which song do I prefer? One, but which is the one that's probably going to go through? It's likely going to be Joanna Quartet, because, wow. If you can't tell, I love a Quinn quartet. I love a Quinn quartet. I love a reprise that's layering over different people's perspectives. And Joanna's a great one. Oh, God, it's good. Obviously, you have Anthony bringing back his stuff. You have Sweeney coming in, wondering what Joanna's going to look like at this point. It's paired with the comedy of that, of this almost love song, this platonic family love for his daughter being sung while he's just casually killing people. Like, it's brilliant. And we get the moments with the beggar woman outside, the city on fire and the smoke and all of that. It's a phenomenal moment in this show, a great reprise. It is one of the ones that is less so a direct reprise, but nonetheless, I do think it goes through to next round. We're getting towards the end of round one, and next we have Guys and Dolls, with the choice that I've made being Adelaide's Second Lament, and Sunset Boulevard, with the reprise of New Ways to Dream. I am realizing in the edit how ironic it is that these two have been paired together just randomly by the shuffling of this app I'm using, seeing as both of these were up against each other at last year's Olivier Awards. That's very funny to me. I think slowly but surely I'm gaining a lot more appreciation for Sunset Boulevard. The more I'm kind of listening to it and the more engaging with it after seeing the Jamie Lloyd revival of it. I do like this moment a lot. Learning a bit more about David Thaxton's character, whose name has left my mind for some reason. Oh God, why has it left my mind? That reveal of why he's so dedicated towards her, it's really, really interesting and tells you a lot, not just about him, but also about Norma Desmond herself, with this reprise of her own song. Adelaide's Second Lament is cute and nice. It's a great moment. I will be honest and say this was one of the reprises that got on here last second, but I do think it kind of does a lot of the same thing as the first reprise. I don't think it builds too much, but it is an important reprise to be in there, as Adelaide feels like she's being pushed aside yet again. Thinking about it, balancing these two out, I would personally give it to New Ways to Dream, though. And finally, for round one, we have the reprise of As Long As He Needs Me from Oliver, and the reprise of The Life I Never Led from Sister Act. Really enjoyed a Sister Act moment. I think it's great, because The Life I Never Led is that moment where she kind of starts to decide that she's going to be pushing for herself, and then in the reprise, we get to see her actually doing that, deciding now to disobey the Mother Superior, and try and rally the troops, or rally the nuns, I guess, into going and helping her. Love a reprise that shows you that character growth. Amazing. But As long as he needs me reprise from Oliver. I think one of the most amazing things about this reprise is how much it tells you about Nancy, because she's making an extremely difficult decision here. She knows the danger that Bill poses. She knows how against this decision he is, but nonetheless, she knows it's right. There's a lot of discussion in Oliver about this relationship that is very clearly abusive. But nonetheless, this song, both in the original version and the reprise, is Nancy's real belief. And a belief that some abuse victims do agree with and do find themselves standing by, that despite and no matter what their partner does to them, they love them. So it's her justifying that. Her justifying this betrayal and knowing that he's going to see it as a betrayal, but going, no matter what, even though this boy needs me and I will do this, he still loves me and he still needs me. And as long as he needs me, I'm going to do anything for him. And that contrast, that back and forth with character is so human, so three-dimensional, so interesting, and paired with this bold moment and fantastic music from MichellinaaB Art. It has to go through to next round. So, with round 1 done, we can now go through the rest of the list a little bit quickly, speed run through to find our winner. 38 Plains Reprise versus Stay Alive from Hamilton. Oh, am I going to go against my favourite musical here? That is hard to say. And personally, I do think Stay Alive Reprise is phenomenally written, but I am going to go with The Joy and my favourite musical here. Is that wrong? I don't know, but I feel it personally. I love Comfortably so much. Home, Benjamin Bunnan versus Hairspray. Oh, I think this one is pretty easy because, you know, I think Good Morning Baltimore Reprise is a good moment, but Home is that turning point as a reprise, and I do think because of its placement and because of what it means to Benjamin's story in that musical, it does go through. Falsettoland Reprise versus Wait For Me Reprise. I do think this is a Hadestown win for me personally. I love the moment at the end of Falsettos, but Wait For Me Reprise, that it's everything. It's powerful, it's poignant, it builds. It's so iconic, it has to go through. This is probably going to be the hardest decision of this entire round, as I have to pick between Tonight Quintet from West Side Story and Javette's Soliloquy from Les Mis. This could be a finale pairing. But this is how the dice have fallen. I think Tonight Quintet is beautiful. But on the other hand, I do think as a reprise, Javette's Soliloquy does mean more to the overall story. And that's the battle. Better song? Tonight. Better in terms of its placement and structure? Les Mis. And I have to go with one of these two reasonings. And whichever way I pick, it's wrong. You know? That's the problem here. Because this should be a finale pairing. These two are like neck and neck. But if I'm thinking about it, and what should carry more weight, I can't believe it because I came into this video thinking, like, no matter what, that this would make it to the end. But I do think I'm gonna pick Javette's Soliloquy over Tonight Quintet. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. But I feel like in my heart that is the right decision. When I'm thinking about what a reprise should do and what it means to a musical and laying all of that down, I do think like Tonight Quintet is a great moment for that. But I do think Javette's Soliloquy is just a little bit stronger. Oh, that hurts. But I'm giving it to Les Mis. Next up, Legally Blonde Remix versus I'll Cover You Reprise. Again, they're so different. And that's why I think it's hard to compare them, despite, you know, the link of them both being reprises. Which is more emotional? I'll Cover You. Which is more bold and, honestly, reflective of the musical as a whole a little bit more? Legally Blonde. I think that might be what pushes me to give it to Legally Blonde. The fact that I feel like that moment has more of an impact on the overall trajectory of that musical than I'll Cover You in Rent. But that's sometimes what we got to do. We got to kind of go to the itty bitty gritty to find any little thing to push one over another. And yeah, I feel like I would give it to Legally Blonde Remix. Wow. Okay, that's this I knew that at some point this list was going to get really hard. I didn't expect it this soon. Oh, I'm making difficult decisions and I don't know if I'm making them right. But that's what's fun about these videos, because if I make a wrong decision, you can do your own list and correct it in the comments. All I ask you, Reprise from Phantom versus Tomorrow Belongs to Me, Reprise Cabaret. I love the moment from Phantom. I love the build up of that and how it closes Act 1. I love how Phantom takes up in that song, but I do think when I'm looking at what a Reprise can do, I do think Tomorrow Belongs to Me Reprise is a stronger version than the first version of the song, but it is also longer. I think that moment in Cabaret is so impactful, I feel like I am going to give it to Cabaret. I Am the One Reprise versus Joanna Quartet. Oh, okay. I like both. I Am the One Reprise feels like it is the one that has more weight on the story. I do like Joanna Quartet a lot. These guidelines are making me make decisions that I didn't think I'd be leaning towards, because I thought, again, that Sweeney Todd was sweet. But I'm thinking about which one is a stronger reprise, which one means more for the overall plot of the musical, and with those two being the main criteria, I do feel like I'd give it to Next to Normal here. Next up, New Ways to Dream from Sunset, As Long as He Needs Me from Oliver. Love New Ways to Dream, but I do think, again, with those ideas in mind, I do feel like As Long as He Needs Me Reprise justifies a lot of Nancy's decisions at this point in the musical and the back and forth in her mind. I love that moment. I have to give it to Oliver. Round 3. Oh, no, I'm not ready. Oh, okay. 2 of my favorite musicals of all time up against each other right now. We have 38 Planes Reprise from Come From Away and Home Reprise from Benjamin Button. I love 38 Planes Reprise. I'm really glad it got this far. Which tells you where I'm leaning towards. But I love that joy, that community, and I think it sums up that musical really well. I think that turning point in Home, though, is phenomenal. I think that point is beautiful. I think the orchestrations of that moment, brilliant, and it's heartbreaking. I'm crying as I'm watching it, and I think as a choice for reprise in a musical, which is the second act is practically all reprises, it's fantastic. I would give it to Benjamin Button here, sending that through and cutting Come From Away. No! You know, I will say it's kind of rude that Come From Away is my favorite musical, but I don't think it's ever won one of these versus brackets. I need to rig it at some point so that Come From Away can win one. If I just do my favorite musicals bracket, it would win. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to pick my 32 favorite musicals and then versus bracket them. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that at some point soon. Wait for Me 2 from Hadestown, Jafar's Soliloquy, Les Mis. I don't know. They're both really good. Oh no. What am I doing to myself? I'm gonna go grey at the age of 30 by making these videos. My lord. The only thing I can do is just sum them both up by themselves. Just Soliloquy is a fantastic moment in Les Mis. It showed you exactly who Javert is, his character arc, his unflinching moral standpoint, and when that is tested and he actually finds himself at a point where he's seeing the good in Jean Valjean, he literally can't go on with himself anymore. Instead of change his beliefs and believe that Jean Valjean is a good man, he would rather just jump. And I think that tells you so much about Javert. Wait for Me 2 is a reprise that I feel like rivals the initial song in the musical. It comes at such a built-up point in that musical. It's fantastic. It's impactful. It's so good. All of these different character moments coming together to bring you into the final section of this musical. It wraps up Hades and Persephone. It brings you back into this final moments of meeting between these two lovers before they are tested. Oh, God, and now I've got to pick. Can't I pick both? I feel like this is going to be a deciding moment for what's going to be in the finale. Like, it's I think they both do really interesting things. I think what is a bigger spectacle? What has those iconic moments more? I would say it's Hadestown. What brings you into these characters so well and shows you that one perspective from this antagonist? It's Javert. Because they're so on par, I have to go with which song I personally prefer as the only thing I can look at to split these two up, and that would be Hadestown. That would be Hadestown. Other side. Legally Blonde remix, Tomorrow Belongs to Me from Cabaret. I think these are both very important songs for their respective musicals. Cabaret, to bring that slow building of this threat of fascism up to the forefront right at the end of Act 1. And it's very impactful at that. But is that more because of the commentary behind it, rather than because it's a reprise of a song that came earlier? That's the question, and that's... Whereas I do think it is fundamentally important for a song like Legally Blonde to be a reprise. I'm trying to find anything to push one above the other, and I think that is the only piece of logic that I can give to do it, which does mean that I'm gonna send through the Legally Blonde remix. That's camp. And the final one for this round, I Am the One from Next to Normal versus As Long as He Needs Me from Oliver. Honestly, after all of those other decisions, this feels like a walk in the park because I do love I Am the One reprise. I'm really glad I got this far because I didn't expect that. Honestly, this whole bracket is just decisions I did not expect to be happening, but I feel like the character work of Nancy in As Long as He Needs Me reprise is the thing that sends it through to next round. Okay. Semi-finals. Let's go. Home, Benjamin Button, Wait For Me 2, Hadestown. This side of the bracket is just my favorite musicals battling against each other. I had to cut Come From Away, and now I've got to either cut Benjamin Button or Hadestown. And I think the right decision for me personally here, and it will upset the Benjamin Button fans. I know, I'm so sorry. I am one of you. I am indeed one of you. I love this musical with my full chest, but I do think the iconic Wait For Me 2 is what I'll send through to next round. I'm very glad with how Benjamin Button is fared here. And the other side, Legally Blonde remix versus As Long as He Needs Me, Oliver. I like to make my finales sometimes two songs that will really contrast with each other, and that would mean that Legally Blonde remix should be the one that I send through. I also think it's a more grand song. Obviously, As Long as He Needs Me reprise is fairly short, but so characterful as well. But at the end of the day, I do feel like when I'm thinking about both of these songs, I would send through the Legally Blonde remix. Now, before we get to our finale pairing, we need a third place winner. So let's play our third place game to find out what is third out of Home from Benjamin Button and As Long as He Needs Me from Oliver. And, you know, if I could send it into the finale, I do feel it's right that Benjamin Button is our fair third place in this ranking. Home from Benjamin Button is a really strong reprise, a beautiful reprise, a real turning point in Benjamin Button, and that final realization of what he needs to do and where he needs to be. And it's stunning, it's gorgeous, the orchestrations and the build of that, the ensemble coming in. Oh, I cry every single time I watch it. And I feel like As Long as He Needs Me from Oliver, a song that I didn't expect to get this high, but very glad it did, is our fourth place, with third going to Benjamin Button. But here we are. This is really interesting. I love doing these brackets so much because it puts me on the spot and makes me make quick decisions. And sometimes I make the right ones, sometimes I look back on those decisions and go, what was I thinking? But it's so fun. So please, some of my favorite comments on these videos are you guys playing along in the comments. So let me know, out of these two, which is your winner? Which is your winner that didn't even make it to this finale pairing? And if you really want to, you can do the full bracket in the comments as well, if you're really feeling dedicated today. But it's all come to this. Wait For Me 2 from Hadestown versus Legally Blonde remix from Legally Blonde. I'm really glad that Legally Blonde has made it here, because it's the musical that I feel like has been robbed consistently in these videos. One of my favorite Act 1 finales of all time, and so much better, cut too early. one of my favorite characters didn't make it to the end. And now I have a chance to give it a crown that it deserves. But can it beat Wait For Me To from Hadestown? A very modern reprise that has become so iconic in the past few years. So much so that you can literally the other day, I saw a video of a can rolling against an escalator, and somebody layered that over with Iba Nobuzade's verse from Wait For Me. If you're at a point where your musical is making jokes like that, I feel like you have made it. It's epic, it's phenomenal, it brings you into that final moment brilliantly, but I think the same about Legally Blonde. It's an important moment in that musical where Elle Woods has fallen and now she needs to rise straight back up again, and guess what? She does. It's hilarious, it's bold, and it's perfectly in character for that musical. It's exactly the style and the joy and the spectacle that you want out of Legally Blonde. Both of these are so perfectly suited for each of their musical, and I would say both of these are stronger than the first version of the song in the musical. But then again, Legally Blonde Remix is very, very different to the first version of Legally Blonde. They're both trying to do very, very different things. Which is my winner? Sitting here, making a decision with my gut, I'm very happy to say that I will give the crown here to the Legally Blonde remix, my favorite reprise in a musical. A close battle, a battle that I wasn't expecting, but I'm very glad to give it to Legally Blonde. But what do you think? How wrong am I? Let me know all your thoughts on this bracket in the comments down below, and let me know any other versus brackets you would like to see. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps the channel. Here's some links to some other videos on screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you'd like to drop me a follow there as well. I also have our social medias and a merch store in the description down below. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.